The next part that we're going to make is the handle base. So go ahead and start a new part file. Again, standard English, IPT. Let that open up. Start your sketch. Choose your XY plane. And then for this one, we're going to draw a circle with a diameter of 1.25 and extrude it 5 inches from the center. So I'm going to make it 1.25. Finish the sketch, extrude 5 inches, and make sure that you double check what it says, 5 inches centered. So make sure that again you are using the same one. You could do this, it doesn't really matter in this situation. I'm just going to go ahead and extrude this. Make sure your circle's centered correctly. From here we now have the base of the handle. We're going to start putting some openings in this and then adding some cutouts basically on the sides to give it some feature. So the first part right here, we're going to create a new sketch on the top. So start a sketch here. And I'm going to make a circle on the top portion. And it's kind of hard to see with this one. I'll zoom in a little bit. We're going to sketch the new circle out, which is got a diameter of 0.980. So we're going to start a circle on here that is 0.980, and I think I already put one on here on accident. So let me zoom back into this. 0.980. Hit enter. And then we're going to make this little rectangular portion right here. So it's 0.5 all the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so I can see this. And I'm going to make a rectangle that goes across 0.5 and has a height of 0.096. 0.096. And then I'm actually going to make a guideline going right through the middle right here so that I can dimension this off of here. So if we change our construction lines using this tool right here, I'm going to make a line right here in the middle, and it's not actually going to be a line that we use to build on, but it is going to be 2 construction lines that I'm going to be using for the purposes of dimensioning. And I'm just going to make a little crosshair. This is not the only way that you can do this, but I have them here. And then I'm going to turn the construction line tool off. And then I'm going to dimension these lines away. So from here to here, the dimension that they give us is 0.048. So 0.048. And I'm going to hit enter. Now if it moves this line like it did mine, just undo it, go to the lock tool and lock this particular point right here. And you can do the same thing for the other dimension line that we made. So I locked both of those in place. Then I'm going to turn the lock off. I'm sorry, no. I want to make sure that they're actually locked. Oh, they're already on there. So we can actually disable that. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the dimension again. It will actually let me set it to 0.048, and it should move my rectangle instead of moving that particular line. Same thing, we're going to space it 0.250 from the center. So I've got a guideline right here, and it's kind of hard to see because I have a dimension line in the way. So hopefully your dimension line didn't place there. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so that I actually hit this dotted line, and I'm going to hit the edge, and again 0.250, and it should move the entire piece over. Once you have that portion completed, we're going to extrude this out 3/8 of an inch, and it's just a regular extrusion. So finish the sketch, go to extrude, and just select that portion and change it to 3/8 of an inch and hit OK. So you should have something that looks like that. the next part we're going to fillet the other end, and we're going to set it to 0.30. So fillet 0.30, hit this edge right here, and hit OK. So now it's got a rounded edge on the bottom portion. And then we're going to create a new offset work plane from the YZ plane and set it to 0 so that we can create these special features coming up. So I'm going to click on the plane tool, and it's telling you where you need to choose your current plane that you're going to be working with. So make sure that you choose offset from plane. Go over here to the origins folder, click on the minus button, and it tells you YZ plane. This one right down the middle, and it tells you to offset it to 0. So we're not changing anything, we just want it to be right in the middle of this. And of course yours will look a little bit different than mine, color-wise. Now I'm going to go down here, and so if we look at it from the side, we can add a new sketch to the work plane. So I can go to the right side view, start a sketch, and I can click right here on the edge, and it will create a new sketch, and it will go in. And from here, we are going to right click and select slice graphics, but it's probably easier just to hit F7. And when you hit F7, it will actually slice down to the middle of this. So if I was to rotate it, you could actually see that I've temporarily cut this in half so that I could draw on it. Next thing that you're going to be doing after you've done that is you should see this. You won't see all these grid lines because we don't have them enabled. Kind of makes it look messy. But we're going to be drawing a square like this from this distance right here. So this distance right here, and we'll make a square over here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a rectangle, or I'm sorry, a square that's 0.1 by 0.1. So we've got a 0.1 by 0.1 like this, and then I'm going to use the dimension tool to move this from this edge right here 1.50, and it should move that over for you, and it should be in the right space. It should be on the edge of the line, and everything should be okay with that particular shape. Next thing that you're going to do with this is create two fillets with a radius of 0.04 for the edges of this box. So we're going to go to this fillet, set it to 0.04, zoom in so we can see it just to be on the safe side, and we're going to click the edge. Same thing with this one. You can hit the X button and close that out. Next thing we're going to do is use the pattern tool and the rectangle feature so that we can bring this shape across the bottom here, and then eventually revolve it. So rectangular pattern features right here, and we're going to go in here and select the actual shape that we want to duplicate. So I'm going to drag and highlight this. We're going to select the direction that we want it to go. So I'm going to click on this one, and you're going to see an arrow that popped up saying that it's making this shape, but it's going this direction. We want to flip the direction so it goes that way. And then we need to adjust the spacing and the dimensioning, and they don't provide it here. They're just showing a picture, but we do have the spacing here. They want us to have 8 of them and set them at 0.250. So we're going to set 8, and then we're going to set them at 0.25. And we should have that many. So when you're done, we're going to hit the OK button, and then we're going to use the finish, or we're going to finish the sketch out, and we're going to actually revolve these. You should be able to revolve these before you actually finish out the sketch. So if you don't click Finish Sketch, you can go up to 3D Model and Revolve, and it will pull you to this portion, and you can select each one of these. Set it to cut, and we're going to zoom out so you can actually see it. And let's double check what settings they have. They set it to full, they have it set to cut. all we have to do is select the axis point. So cut, full, select the axis. We are going to, from here, select the axis. I think the z-axis will work. Let me double check. Z-axis is the one that you're going to want to use for this one, and then you can hit OK. And it will actually cut that shape out for us so that it looks like this. So again, they tell you in this one, and I'm zoomed out so it's kind of difficult to see it, but model, revolve, cut the 8 profiles using the z-axis, which they tell you in the next slide. So it should have something that ultimately ends up looking like this. So we're going to create a new offset work plane on the edge of it so that we can cut a hole through it. And again, create a new offset work plane from the XZ plane at 5/8 of an inch. So from the offset, and they said XZ and 5/8 of an inch. So we're going to change this to 5/8. Hit OK. And then we're going to start a sketch on this one. And I'm going to flip it so it looks more like this, kind of like this one. And then I'm going to draw a circle that has a 0.5 diameter. That is 4.5 distance from here. So make my circle right here in the middle, 0.5 distance using the dimension tool from this center point to the edge right here, 4.5. I'm pretty close, but just change it if you're not on the money. And then from there we should be able to create a hole and extrude it all the way through. They're using a hole tool for this one. You don't really have to. You could just extrude this one. If you wanted to, you could sit here and go to hole and select that point and cut all the way through, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and use the extrude tool for this one. Cut, set the distance to all, so it goes all the way through, and just hit OK. So you have a hole that ends up looking like this. So your part should look like that. Once you right click on this and turn the visibility off, and right click on this one, turn the visibility off, you should have a part that looks just like this. Once you have that completed, you're going to add a fillet to the edge of the circle of 0.075. So we're going to fillet this really quick. 0.075. Select the corner. Do the same thing on this side. Hit OK. So you have rounded edges on it now. And then you can change the material. I would go with something along the lines of like an ABS plastic. So let's see what we got up here at the top. Just set it to ABS plastic. Leave it smooth. It actually will look pretty nice this way. And if you want to get rid of the lines, remember, change the view to realistic. Again, at this point you can give the handle a color if you would like, but make sure that you save it as handle. I'm going to go ahead and color mine really quick, and let's see, make sure I select everything, and I don't know, we'll give it like a blue. And then I'm going to hit File, Save As, and save this one as handle.